Hi, it's Neil Marsden again. I'm on a survey this morning in South Shields, obviously up near the northeast coast, and I've been asked to do a damp in timber. I'm not going to go too much about the damp. Obviously, it's fairly obvious that there are significant damp issues in the property. People have had several attempts at repairing this damp problem. That big damp stain is actually reflected exactly the same on the other side of the partition wall. But the purpose of this little video is not to talk about damp at this time. It's really, part of it is the survey is for a lender and they wanted a damp and timber survey. So I'll do the damp, but what I also do is I will pop floorboards up and take a look and see what the condition of the floor timbers are. So I've done that in this instance, pop the floorboard up along the bay window, and then, so what we've got, obviously, well, first of all, the previous survey said that the property probably didn't have a damp-proof course, so unable to locate it. But this is the subfloor void. There's your bitumen damp-proof course below the joist ends. So it has got a bit of physical damp-proof course. You know, I always say most properties have got a damp-proof course if you spend the time and a little bit of effort to find them. But what I found in this instance, we've got obviously timber floors, and basically on first impression the joists look fine, no significant deflection. You know, the floor's not the property's not in the greatest condition, but the joists themselves seem fine. The floors generally sound, no significant deflection. But if you can notice, say, in the centre of the screen, there's a little bit of dust on the side of the joist, and slightly higher up the same again. I don't know if I can get some additional light. There you are. And then if you look along the joist, you can see the same again on the underside of the joist. You just get that little fine powder. Now often if you get fungal decay, you know, we expect to see these huge masses of mycelium, fruiting bodies jumping out at us, and it's not always the case. It's sometimes very subtle if there is evidence of fungal decay. But that dust is actually produced by Woodboring-weevil, and it's a type of woodworm which will generally infest timber with a very high moisture content, or timber that's already in a state of decay. So that's the only evidence that there's potentially a problem with wet rot in this floor. So I hope that the camera picks it up. So what I will do is demonstrate something which a lot of people either aren't aware of, or they seem to ignore. So we've got our floor joists, yep, sitting on a bitumen damp-proof course. So now if I put the moisture meter in the upper section of the floor joist, so we've got about a moisture content 25.6, 25.7. It is high, far too high, and there's obviously, it's because of a lack of ventilation. You know, we've got a solid floor behind this room, so there's no cross flow of ventilation. So we've got that moisture content there, but if we stick this on the underside of the joist, we're suddenly up to 36, 37% moisture content. There's a huge variation between the two. So I'll pick another joist. We'll come to this one here. Moisture content 17.2%. So generally you think, yep, that's not too far out. But then same joist, we stick it in the underside, and we're up to 34, 35%. So there's a huge difference between the underside of the joists and the upper surface. And I often see surveyors putting a meter on the top surface of a floor and saying, yeah, the moisture content was this or that, relatively low. But it's amazing. I often find, you know, there's 10, 15% difference between the upper surface of the joist and the underside. And that is why when you see these infestations, especially Woodboring-weevil, you tend to see them running along the bottom edge of the joist, because the moisture content is significantly higher than the upper surface. So again, I hope that makes sense. It's just another little tip for obviously the less experienced surveyors. that when you're doing surveys, you know, the signs of the fungal decay or the signs of potential risks aren't always obvious. Sometimes they're very subtle, but it pays to pick up on them, because if not, you could find yourself on the wrong end of a claim, which isn't going to be a very pleasant experience. Okay, I hope this has helped. Thanks a lot now. Take care. Bye-bye.